I'm a 27-year-old woman, and up until recently, I still lived at home with my parents. Not by choice. If it were up to me, I would have been out of there years ago. But every time I tried to save money and make a plan, they found a way to keep me stuck. They controlled everything. My money, my time, my personal space. I had to be strategic if I wanted to escape. I had a full-time job, but it never felt like my money. My parents insisted that I contribute most of my paycheck to family expenses. Rent, utilities, groceries. Except I never saw any of the bills. The numbers never added up. I'd give them almost everything, and they'd still complain about how we were barely making it. Meanwhile, my dad always had a new gadget, and my mom constantly went shopping. When I asked where all the money was going, I got the same response. You don't need to worry about that. Just do your part. Privacy didn't exist. My mom would go through my room when I wasn't home. If she found anything she didn't like, a book, a gift from a friend, even receipts, she'd confront me about it. My phone wasn't my phone. They made me share my passcode in case of emergencies. But they used it to go through my texts, check my call log, and scroll through my social media. My dad once printed out my bank statements and highlighted suspicious purchases. He called me into the living room, waved the papers in my face, and demanded to know why I spent money at a coffee shop when I was supposed to be saving. This was my life. Every move monitored, every decision questioned. But I had a plan. For the past 6 months, I had been secretly looking for an apartment. I found one that was small but perfect. The rent was reasonable, and best of all, it was mine. I signed the lease without telling them. I started slowly moving my things out. A few books here, some clothes there. If they noticed, they didn't say anything. My older brother, who moved out years ago and had gone no contact for a while, warned me they're going to lose their minds when they find out. I believed him, but I wasn't prepared for how bad it would get. They found out before I had a chance to tell them. They went through my desk, found my lease agreement, and confronted me the second I walked through the door. My mom was crying. My dad was furious. How could you do this after everything we've done for you? They made it sound like I was abandoning them. My mom clutched her chest dramatically, saying she couldn't handle the stress. My dad started listing off everything they had sacrificed for me. It wasn't a conversation. It was an ambush. I told them I was moving out no matter what. That's when the manipulation hit a new level. Suddenly, my mom had a serious health condition that she conveniently never mentioned before. She needed my help. She couldn't survive without me. I wanted to believe her. But when I texted my brother about it, he immediately called me.
She's lying, he said.
She pulled the same stunt when I left. I told them I wasn't changing my mind. That's when my dad called my job without my knowledge and told them I would be taking time off to help with a family emergency. I only found out because my boss pulled me aside, confused, asking if everything was okay. I was livid. They were trying to cut me off from everything. My money, my independence, even my job. That was the moment I knew I had to leave immediately. I packed my essentials while they were out. I had planned to do it slowly, but that was no longer an option. I had a friend on standby, ready to help me move out in the middle of the night. When my parents came home and saw my half-empty room, they lost it. They staged a full intervention. They called extended family, made me sit in the living room while everyone lectured me about how selfish I was, how I was breaking my mother's heart, how no good daughter would abandon her parents like this. But I didn't budge. They yelled. They cried. They called me ungrateful, a traitor, crazy. They said I was making a huge mistake, that I'd regret it. But I needed them. I left at 2 a.m. with my friend. I didn't tell them where I was going. I didn't answer their calls. That first night in my apartment, I sat on the floor surrounded by boxes. The place was quiet. No one was checking my phone. No one was monitoring my spending. No one was going through my stuff. For the first time in my life, I was free. I thought that was the end of it. I was wrong. The first few days in my new apartment felt unreal. No one barging into my room. No one questioning my spending. No sudden family meetings to guilt trip me. The silence was strange at first, but I got used to it fast. I started settling in, unpacking what little I had brought, buying groceries without someone monitoring my receipts, and just breathing. The apartment was small, but it was mine. Then the calls started.
Hundreds of them.
Missed calls, voicemails, text messages. Every single one from my parents. The fewer demands.
Come home right now. We need to talk.
Then came the guilt. You're breaking your mother's heart. She can't sleep. She hasn't eaten. Then the anger. You're ungrateful. You've been brainwashed. It didn't stop. Every hour, every day, my phone would buzz non-stop. I blocked their numbers. That's when the unknown numbers started calling. Blocked those too. The emails came next. I ignored everything. For the first time in my life, I had control over who could reach me. I thought they'd give up eventually. I underestimated them.
They found me anyway.
A few nights later, I heard knocking. Not a normal knock. Pounding over and over again. I looked through the peephole. My parents. They found my apartment. I didn't open the door. I didn't say a word. I just stood there, hoping they'd leave. They didn't. The knocking got louder. My dad's voice boomed through the door. He told me to open up. My mom was crying. I stayed quiet. Minutes passed. They weren't leaving. They were trying to get in. The doorknob rattled. My dad pushed against the door, testing if it would budge. My heart pounded. I had locked everything, but the way they were pushing, like they expected me to give in, sent a chill through me. Then came the screaming. My mom wailed like she was in pain. She said she was having a heart attack. She begged me to open up, just for a second, so she could sit down. My dad banged the door again. My mom sobbed that she needed help.
I didn't buy it.
She pulled this before when my brother moved out, when she wanted me to stay home from work, when she needed to win an argument. Still, they wouldn't stop. After almost an hour of this, my neighbors came out. A few people peeked into the hallway, whispering to each other. I felt trapped. My own parents were causing a scene outside my home. I grabbed my phone and called the police. The police arrive. I stayed by the door, listening as my parents kept up the act. When the police finally arrived, I heard my mom's sobbing switch from dramatic to controlled. The second she saw the officers, she turned into a helpless, heartbroken mother. She told them she was just here because she was worried about me, but I had run away from home and cut off all contact. She painted herself as the victim. The officers knocked on my door. I took a deep breath and opened it. I explained everything. I was 27. I moved out on my own, and my parents were harassing me. I told them about the endless calls, the fake emergency, and how they had been banging on my door for nearly an hour. One of the officers turned to my parents and asked them to leave. My dad lost it. He yelled that I was being manipulated, that I wasn't thinking straight. My mom clutched her chest again, saying she just needed to see her daughter's face. The officers weren't having it. I was an adult. I was safe. I told them I didn't want my parents here, and that was enough. They were told to leave. They didn't go quietly. As they walked away, my dad shouted that I was a horrible daughter, that I was being controlled by someone. My mom sobbed that I had abandoned my family. I shut the door and locked it. The aftermath, my friends couldn't believe it when I told them what happened. They were horrified. One of them offered to stay over, just in case. Another told me I needed to change my locks. That's when the Facebook post started. My parents went public. They made a long, dramatic post about their ungrateful daughter who abandoned her sick mother and blocked her entire family. They painted me as heartless, reckless, and possibly brainwashed. The comments were flooded with support from family members, from their friends, from people I barely even knew. My inbox exploded with messages. Aunts, uncles, cousins, even distant relatives I hadn't spoken to in years. Some demanded an explanation. Others told me I needed to apologize. A few just sent guilt-trippy paragraphs about family always sticking together. I ignored all of it. My brother was the only one who had my back. He told me this was exactly what happened when he left, that my parents were using the same playbook, that I did the right thing. I started doubting myself. I wondered if I had been too harsh, if I should have at least talked to them. But then I remembered the door shaking, the screaming, the manipulation. No. I made the right choice. But I knew this wasn't over. Not even close. I thought blocking their numbers and ignoring their Facebook meltdown would be enough to make them stop. I was wrong. It started small. I noticed I wasn't getting important mail. Bills, bank statements, even a new debit card I had ordered. At first I thought it was just delays. Then I got an email notification about a credit card application. I had never made the address on the application. My parents. They were trying to open a credit card in my name. I immediately called the bank, reported it as fraud, and had them shut it down before anything went through. I froze my credit and put an alert on all my accounts. I thought that would be the end of it. Again, I underestimated them. A few days later, my boss called me into her office. She looked concerned. I had no idea why until she told me someone had emailed HR claiming I was mentally unstable, that I had run away from home and needed to be watched carefully. It was my dad. He had written a long, dramatic email warning them that I was in a bad mental state and that my family was worried for my safety. He even hinted that my employer should intervene. I sat there staring at my boss trying to process it. I had to explain everything. That my parents were controlling, that I had moved out to escape them. That this was another one of their desperate attempts to force me back. My boss listened, then nodded. She said HR was already skeptical because the email was weirdly aggressive, but she wanted to check with me before ignoring it. I was lucky my job had my back. But the fact that my parents were now trying to sabotage my career, that changed everything. I called my parents. I knew they would deny it, but I wanted them to hear me say it. I knew what they were doing. The second my mom picked up, she started crying. My dad took over, acting offended that I was accusing them of such things. They had no idea what I was talking about. Maybe I was confused. Maybe someone else was trying to steal my identity. Maybe my boss misunderstood the email. Lies on top of lies. I cut them off mid-sentence. I told them if they kept interfering in my life, I would press charges. Silence. Then the excuses started. They weren't trying to hurt me. They were just protecting me from making a mistake. They were only reaching out because they loved me. I hung up. The next day, they doubled down on their social media campaign. Now I wasn't just an ungrateful daughter who abandoned her sick mother. I was brainwashed and mentally unstable. They made vague posts about how they were losing their daughter to outside influences and that they wouldn't stop fighting for her. Family members started calling me non-stop. My aunt left a voicemail saying I needed to go home and fix this before it's too late. A cousin messaged me telling me to at least talk to them and hear them out. I blocked every single one of them. I wasn't playing their game. I started researching restraining orders. I wasn't sure if their behavior qualified, but I needed to know my options. I also went to my bank and changed every security question and PIN. I added extra verification steps to utilities, insurance, my lease, even my phone provider. If they tried anything else, I wanted to be ready. Then I went to my apartment manager and asked if anyone had tried to access my mailbox. That's when I learned someone had been asking about my mail. A concerned family member had come by a few days earlier asking if they could pick it up for me. They didn't give the mail to them, but the fact that my parents had tried that sent a clear message. They weren't done. My boss reassured me that my job was safe. HR had dismissed my dad's email as nonsense. That was one win. But this was bigger than just controlling parents. They weren't just trying to guilt me. They were trying to ruin my life. They were trying to trap me. And I had no idea what they were going to do next. I was finally starting to feel like I had control over my life. I was finally starting to feel like I had control over my own life. For the first time, I could wake up without fear of being monitored, without someone watching me, without having to justify every decision I made. It felt strange. It felt freeing. But deep down, there was still a part of me that carried the weight of everything that had happened. The separation hadn't been easy, but it was necessary. My brother supported me, and I held on to that every time guilt tried to creep in. Then one day my phone rang. It was an unknown number. I let it ring. A few moments later, a message appeared on my screen. It was from my mother. "I'm sick." I sighed. This wasn't the first time. Every time she wanted to pull me back, she made something up. When I decided to leave home, she said she wouldn't survive without me. When I stopped answering her calls, the desperate messages started.
And now this.
I ignored it, but she kept going. Seriously, I'm not well. I need you. Then you won't even ask what's wrong. And finally, the guilt trips. You really have no heart. I'm your mother. I rolled my eyes and silenced my notifications. Days passed. The messages continued. You're going to regret ignoring me. I'm getting worse. At least talk to me. I didn't believe her. I couldn't believe her. She had lied too many times before. She had used me too many times. If I gave in now, the cycle would never end. My brother called me. Did she text you?
Yeah.
Saying she's sick? He sighed. Figured she'd try that on you too. Do you think it's true? I asked, more out of habit than doubt. No. And that was that. Case closed. Until one day, much later, my phone rang again. This time, it was a number I recognized. My aunt. I answered, expecting another attempt to guilt trip me. But what she said on the other end made my blood run cold. Your mother passed away. My heart pounded.
What? No.
That couldn't be true. The ground felt like it had disappeared beneath me. My phone almost slipped from my hand. What do you mean? My voice was shaky. She had been sick for months. We tried to tell you. My breath caught in my throat. My eyes burned. This wasn't real. But then more messages came. From relatives. From acquaintances. From people I barely remembered. Some were full of anger. You didn't even show up for your own mother's funerals? Others were soaked in guilt. She asked for you. Until the very end, my brother called. I answered immediately. Is it true? He didn't respond right away.
Yes.
My chest tightened. Did you know? He hesitated. I thought she was lying at first, too. But when things got serious, she stopped talking to me. I only found out now. My heart sank. My mother was dead, and I had ignored her. My entire body trembled. My eyes filled with tears. All I could think about were the messages she sent. She was telling the truth, and I ignored her. My mind replayed every moment I saw her name on my screen and dismissed it. Every plea for help that I shrugged off as manipulation. Every chance I had to at least ask if it was real, and I chose not to. What if she really had been asking for me? What if she had been waiting for me to come? My breathing became uneven. My stomach turned. She died alone. And I did nothing. My phone kept buzzing. Messages.
Calls.
Comments. My aunt sent me another message. She talked about you all the time. She kept asking if you would come back. It hit me like a punch to the gut. My legs felt weak. I sank to the floor, clutching my phone tightly. My brother sent another message. Don't listen to them. You didn't know, but I did know. I knew she had said she was sick. I just didn't want to believe her. She had played games with me so many times before, had tried to trap me so many times, but what if this time, all she wanted was to have her daughter near her? What if this time she really needed me, and I let her die alone? I cried. I cried like I hadn't cried in years. Because no matter how much my brother told me it wasn't my fault, deep down I knew it was.
I could have done something.
The days passed in a blur. The funeral happened. I didn't go. My brother went but said he didn't stay long. He told me it was quick, that he didn't want to give our family more room for drama. But my mother didn't leave quietly. She left a storm behind her. Social media was flooded with tributes, heart-wrenching messages, and, of course, attacks aimed at me. Ungrateful daughter. She died of a broken heart. I hope you can sleep at night knowing what you did. And the worst one, she waited for you until the very end. I blocked everything, but I couldn't block the guilt. My brother kept telling me not to torture myself. They always did this to us. You can't carry this weight alone. But how could I not? I had always wanted distance. I had always wanted freedom. But I never thought that freedom would come with a burden like this. What if my mother had been right about me? What if I was cold? Selfish? Heartless? For the first time, I didn't know if I had made the right choice. For the first time, my freedom felt like a punishment, not a victory. I had finally escaped their control. But now, maybe, it was too late to escape myself. After everything, I thought I would be able to move on. But the truth is, guilt doesn't go away that easily. It clings to you, seeps in, settles into every thought, every silence, every moment when I'm alone and ask myself, did I really need all of this? My mother's death became a spectacle, a show for everyone to watch. Relatives who never cared, who never asked if I was okay, suddenly became the judges of my life. I was the ungrateful one, the cruel one, the daughter who abandoned her own mother and let her die alone. And the worst part? A part of me believed it. But did I have a choice? Did I? I think about everything that happened before. The years of control, the manipulation, the mind games. The time I spent living in a house that never felt like mine, that felt more like a prison. And when I finally managed to escape, they still tried to pull me back. They still tried to sabotage me, to ruin me. And now they wanted me to feel guilty? As if I was supposed to apologize for trying to live my own life. It was unbearable. At first, I tried to deal with it. I tried to answer a few messages, tried to explain, but there was no room for explanations. People didn't want to hear my side of the story. They just wanted to attack me, to make me feel even worse. So I stopped. I cut off contact with everyone, blocked numbers, deleted social media, changed my email. I disappeared. And you know what happened? Silence. And for the first time in a long time, I felt peace. I was tired.
Exhausted.
What more could I have done? Was I supposed to run to the hospital the moment my mother sent that message? After years of being manipulated, was I supposed to believe her without question? And if I had shown up, would it have made a difference? Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe she would have lived longer. Or maybe she would have used it to trap me again. I'll never know. And that's what kills me. Because no matter what I do now, no matter how many times I tell myself that I did what was necessary, that I needed to walk away to survive, the doubt is always there. Did I do the right thing? Should I have given in? Should I have given her one more chance? And even if I had, would it have been enough? Because nothing was ever enough for her.
For them.
I spent my entire life trying to please them, trying to be the perfect daughter, trying to follow the rules, trying to give them everything I had. And still, it wasn't enough. It was never enough. And now, even in death, my mother still haunts me. I can't shake the feeling that no matter how hard I try, I'll never be completely free. But I need to move forward. Because I know that if I stay trapped in this, it's going to destroy me.
So I chose my peace.
I chose my freedom. I chose my sanity. I walked away from everyone. From my entire family. From anyone who could try to drag me back into that hole. And yet, when I'm alone, when everything is quiet, when I finally have space to breathe, the question comes back. Did I have to do all of this? Did I go too far? Am I really a terrible person? And if it were you in my place? If you had been controlled your entire life, if you had been treated like property, if you had fought just to have a place in the world without needing permission, would you have gone back? Would you have given in? Or would you have chosen your freedom too? Because I did. And now I have to live with it. Maybe forever.